Back to one of the stories, top of the agenda this morning, President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the keynote address at the opening ceremony of the 5th Global Conference on the Elimination of Child Labour today. The conference takes place at the Inkosi Luthuli International Convention Centre in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal from the 15th to the 20th of May 2022. Government and international labour organisations are hosting this conference in South Africa for the first time. We take you there now with SABC News reporter Bongani Gema, who gives us the latest there. Very good morning. Thank you for your time this morning, Bongani. Take us through what's happening there right now.
Well, a very good morning to you and good morning to the SABC viewers. We are coming to you live from the Inkosi Luthuli ICC here in Durban. As you mentioned, the 5th Global Conference on the Elimination of Child Labour is due to take place today. It's going to start in the afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa, as you mentioned, is going to be addressing the opening ceremony. What's significant about today is that this conference will be the first time that is being held in African soil, not just South Africa. You know, in 2017, it was held in Buenos Aires in Argentina. I think the first one was in 1997 in Oslo in Norway. So it's also very significant because when you look at the figures, there's the International Labour Organization, which is one of the organizers of this conference, along with UNESCO, released a report saying that, you know, more than half of the child laborers in the world are found in Africa. But I have with me Thomas Wissing of the International Labour Organization. He's going to be telling us more about the conference and maybe why it is so very important to end child labor. So thank you very much for your time. Firstly, just tell us what exactly is child labor and why it is very important to bring an end to it.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I think it is very important that we understand what child labor means to the children. It means basically it is work that is hazardous for children. It takes them away from school. It doesn't give them the full possibility to develop their potential as full members of society. They don't have time to play. So it's really an issue that children are working and that they are generating the family income for food, for education, for transport. We understand that it is an emergency situation for families. We don't blame the families for that, but we think it's not a solution. We need to think about how we overcome this, how we overcome poverty, how we overcome inequality, how we make sure that the children can go to school, they have time to play, and then when they grow older, of course, they get into the labor market and they're fully skilled.
Now, it seems this ILO is leading a pack in terms of fighting, you know, this scourge in society. Why is it so important to you? Because as you mentioned, that many of these kids are from poverty-stricken families, so they are bringing bread home to the family. Yet here is ILO trying to end this.
Yes, no, I think the solution is very clear. We need to make sure that the parents have a decent income and that they have a decent work, that they have access to a job which provides sufficient family income. And that means we need to make sure that workers can defend their rights. It needs to make sure that they have social protection. Needs also that the workers' rights are respected and that the parents are really the ones that are receiving the family income and that jobs are created. I think at the end of the day, it has very much to do to creating the conditions to prevent that children are trapped into child labor and that those that are already in it have an opportunity to go out and find alternatives outside.
Now, ILO, I heard release a report saying that there are about 160 million child laborers in the world. He also warned that by the end of this year, there may be 9 million additional child labor. This is also due to the pandemic. Maybe let's come to Africa. Africa is one of the poverty-stricken continents in the world. Are we seeing any strides being made, any improvement being made when it comes to ending child labor, specifically in Africa?
Well, I think African countries and African governments have done a lot over the last years to fight child labor, but it's a very difficult situation, as you mentioned. A couple of countries are struggling with economic crisis, others have political difficulties, a couple of countries are dealing with conflict, with war, with displacement of people, with migration. So it's not an easy environment, and the pandemic has hit very hard the African continent. So it's no surprise that the struggle is not an easy one. We see that out of these 160 million that are in child labor worldwide, 92 million are in Africa, so more than half of them. And half of these 92 million children, more or less, are in what we call hazardous child labor, which is immediately dangerous for their life, for their health, not only for education and for losing out on education, but really endangering their health. So I think we have a huge challenge to look also into agriculture. As you said, family agriculture is a big issue. Many children are helping family to increase family income. 70%, meaning 7 out of 10 children in the world, the same goes for Africa, are in agriculture, and most of them are in family agriculture. Some of them working in big plantations, but most of them were in family context. Well, this means we need to find solutions for these families and how to make their work more productive and make sure that, again, the farmers, the producers receive sufficient income for their work, that they have access to some sort of social protection, that they are protected against natural disasters by some sort of support programs by the governments, that the private sector is getting active, trade unions. There's a lot has been done in Africa and very good solutions have come up, but we still have a lot of way to go.
Now, speaking of solutions, this is the 5th global conference of this type. The kinds of discussions that are going to be discussed here, I heard there are going to be 28 plenary sessions. What happens after the conference has been closed?
Well, we hope that the conference, the leaders that are here united from governments, from workers' organizations, from the business sector, from the private sector, from civil society, that they come out with a strong commitment with a call to action at the end of the conference. And this call to action will focus on education as an alternative. It will focus on social protection to provide families with an income. It will focus on decent work. And will also focus on how to make sure that there is financing, public financing, to help this happening. So the idea is that after this call to action at the end of the conference, there is some sort of follow-up and make sure that the commitments will be implemented also, not just being in a declaration or in a call to action, but really put into concrete action, and that there is monitoring outside, that you, the media, help us supervise and see what's going on, that the civil society organizations are looking at trade unions, and that we're working with everyone to make sure that children have a better future.
So much appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
That was Thomas Wissing of the International Labour Organization speaking to us about the conference that is due to begin here today. Will be addressed by the President. I understand a high-level delegation is going to be gathered here. Over 34 ministers from various countries, from over 180 countries, member countries that are going to be taking part in this conference. Some presidents also of other countries in the world are also expected to gather here. So it's going to be a hive of activity, a week-long conference that's going to be closing on Friday.
Now, Bongani, you know, statistics around child laborers are very shocking. I mean, say 12% of forced labor takes place in the agriculture sector, 24% in domestic work, 18% in construction, and 15% in manufacturing, amongst other sectors. Do we have some of the people from these sectors there present who are going to ensure that all the conversations that are being had there are not just talk shop, but will trickle down to the ground where it matters the most?
You know, earlier in the week, or rather on Friday, I spoke with a representative from the Department of Labour, which is also one of the organizers of this conference, who said that as Labour, you know, they work with different sectors in community. He mentioned business, and he did say that those players are also invited to be part of the conference. They are indeed going to be part of this conference. They're going to be active participants in this conference. They are also going to be giving, you know, ideas, sharing their experiences, and also sharing ways in how this scourge can be eradicated without, you know, hampering on the profits, or rather on the economies of the different countries. So indeed, that we were told there's no business and different players, even agriculture, because as you mentioned, that agriculture is the main player when it comes to child labor. There's also factory, also domestic. So all those players, we were told, are going to be, you know, a part of this conference, are going to be participating in the plenary sessions that are going to be taking place.
Okay, now before we let you go, what is the sense there with some of the delegates that are attending? Are they looking forward to, you know, some of the conversations that are going to be had there?
Indeed, you know, delegates are now being bussed in. They are now entering the ICC. Well, not so many of them are here yet, because as you know that this conference was scheduled to start around 12:30, or rather the address by the president is going to be starting at that time. So those who are trickling in are just are walking around, seeing the ICC, taking pictures and getting their their bags that are part of the conference that they are going to be attending. So as yet, not many delegates are here. They are still making their way to the ICC.
Bongani Gema is our reporter joining us there from Durban. We will be bringing you more of him through